Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to be setting up a Halloween themed guild house external layout build time show stuff. Yeah. So Halloween season is upon us. I've set out a bunch of furniture here that I want to just quickly go over. The kind of spooky stuff that we're looking at here before I get started on my build. So I have barbed wire fence. This one you can get at the War Shop. So originally that was a limited time shop. You could get a bunch of stuff there. Then it went away. Then they brought it back. Now it's just a permanent fixture. You can get that. I think it's Dozer's house. There was like an old PvP area. And now you can just basically walk in and there's a bunch of furniture and hats and cool stuff in there. Then we have the bones. So this little bone here, we got a skull, but that skull will rotate and change into several other items. So it's got two different skulls and two different, like a rib bone and a femur or something in there. They face one way, face the other way, both of those. Then we have the bone furniture set. So we have the bone mirror, the bone throne, the bone cauldron, the bone fence, and over here, the bone torch. So these items you can get from the candy grab bags. So when you see the ghosts and the little goblins and the giant pumpkins and all the crazy stuff that comes out for Growloween, you'll be able to collect a bunch of candy. And for some reason, at the end of the season, you can go and trade these in Old Deadwood in the Mushroom House. So these are items that you get from there. The fences are pretty common. These chairs and the torches seem to be fairly common as well. This bone cauldron is a little bit rarer, but it does a neat smog effect. Like it'll make the whole area smoky if you turn it on. I've also got a bunch of crypt furniture. So in this set here, I've got the crypt guillotine. I have the crypt fence, the crypt statue. Which one is this? I forget. I think it's a gargoyle statue. Then there's also a skull statue. Which I never got. I got a couple of gargoyles and that was enough. I think these are 3,500. And then there's the crypt candle. So for the crypt set of furniture, you need to go into the VIP room in Club Crypt when it opens, and you can purchase this stuff there. There's also table and chairs and some very standard other objects as well. Then I have this one here, and this is the Crying Angel or Weeping Angel. I forget what it's called. It's a kind of a spooky statue that will move around in the level if you don't turn its movement off. So just like a normal pet, you'll be able to check in here, and it will have a disable pet movement. And yeah, you can do that. I have a tutorial. I was doing some optimization on my system here, and now I'm back in tutorial land. Great. Okay, so yeah, this crypt fence and this statue and these guys, they've all got this cool stone look to them. I really like the effect. It really, 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 really lends well to building castles or barricades or some kind of a wall. If you're doing anything with building structures in your external layout, I really like the crypt set. These statues look good too. They kind of go along with the same textures and colors, so it's just an awesome way to go. Last but not least, over here I have this Gothic Fence. The Gothic Fence is 1,200 grelats a piece, and they are available in I think there's a secondary store in Old Deadwood. It's not Club Crypt, and you can buy a bunch of fences and other furniture stuff there. Okay, so my first goal here is that I'm going to go and duplicate a few of these guys and hedge off my auto farm. Okay, so basically I'm going to go through here real quick and pop a few of these in here to give it that sectional feeling like it's in a graveyard. They kind of look like fences that you would standard, you'd see them in the graveyard. They have that kind of, keep out, enter at own risk look to them. I mean, where did that come from, really? I mean, if you think about it, like everybody goes to the graveyard, they want to go and say their respects and stuff. It should be welcoming and nice, but really we got these nasty, nasty pokey fences and stuff going on. Oh, curious. Okay, so the other thing that I've got in this level right now is this respawner. So that's a little interesting, especially because it's set up for my auto farm. So considering that, using the barbed wire fences, I will be looking at probably having some kind of a start point in this area here. So thinking to that end, I should probably also include a couple of these fences going up and blocking off access outside the river here. Okay, so I'll keep one here. And these bricks probably will wind up leaving too. Pop another one in here. I think that's sufficient there on that side. For the bone stuff, I'm going to retain that for the upper area of the level. Make it a little bit tricky up there. And then down here, I want to build like a kind of a tower thing going on, or like a collapsed tower. So I'll be using some of these. Let's keep one up here, actually. Let's start about there. And then these guys will go down the base. So this is going to be the base of my kind of collapsed tower. I'm going to layer that to 0. Reason being, if I layer these guys to 0 at this stage, then I can build up. Okay, so I'm going to keep one here. And put, I think 3 is good across the bottom. Wow, duplication just takes a long time in general. Yeah, that's really, it takes a long time to do that for some reason. Okay. So instead, I'm just going to grab my Crypt Fence from my furniture and my cubby here. Oh, actually, I'm going to walk off to the right a little bit and drop them. Let's zip back out of there quickly. Keep my guy over here, then I'll drop a bunch of them, and then I can just source them from there instead of this silly thing. I mean, the optimization really needs work. I have been struggling with this for a couple days now. I have switched browsers. I've, taken all the other stuff into account that I can consider. And suddenly it's just taking so long to do everything in the game. I don't know. It's what's happened in the last little while here, but some additions have just started taking so much power. Okay, so I'm going to keep this here. Do the same thing again. And basically we're going to build a little retaining wall here, but it's going to become a little bit taller on one side than the other. And I'm probably going to throw some stones in there to make it interesting. Oh, no, stay there, you. And this is freeform. I'm not doing measurements. If you really wanted to get it perfect and like set stuff up in an interesting way, you could probably measure. You could pace off some stuff, or you could use a standard object to try and set up your fencing in such a way where you're able to like include all the objects that you want or whatever, especially starting off at the beginning here. But I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to do it. The interesting part is that some of the fences are 4 long and some of them are 5 long and some of them are different shapes entirely. if you look at the Crypt Fence compared to the Gothic Fence, for example, this guy's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 long, I think. Whereas these guys are 5. The Crypt Fence is 5. So it's kind of judgment. You want to carefully place your objects in a way where they're going to be related to each other, but line up nicely. And layering helps with that a lot. You can kind of cover up a lot of the inconsistencies and stuff with layering if you're interested in spending the time to do so. Or if you have, it's kind of when you get enough furniture, honestly. After a while, when you have enough, it becomes this thing where you have to start looking at how you can position it and not make it look like trash. Okay, so I've got 2 fences down at the bottom here. I'm keeping 1 fence across at the top. And to basically create an impression that at the bottom it's a lot, it's like twice as deep, like it comes up at the bottom, and then at the top there's like that partition where you can see over the edge, but you can't see the second layer at the bottom there. I'm going to move this little statue guy up and keep him right about there. And again, you can kind of support the visual aspects of it. So like looking at this little statue guy, I can see that there's depth to that object. So it becomes a little bit more realistic or a little bit more visually appealing. Okay, so the next piece I'm going to do is right attached to this. But I think what I'm going to do is carry this guy over to there. Oh, these barbed wire fences got to go too. Oh, missed them. Trying to use hotkeys in here, if there's a little bit of lag, if it just slows up for a second, it becomes so difficult. There's a lot of stuff that could be improved with the way that it's currently set up. The hotkeys specifically for building. When you're working on PC, that needs to be reliable, which is okay. It is pretty good. It's better than having nothing. But the way that it's working now is like pulling teeth. You can see how long it takes to pick these up and drop them. Okay, so this guy here is layer 1. Ah, there it goes. Okay, now it's showing properly. It should be layer 1, layer 1. I'm actually going to take this down to layer 0. And then I'm going to make this... Actually, you know what? No, let's keep it layer 1. And I'm going to move this guy up 1. And I'm going to create effect like... this is on the edge of a tower a little bit here. And this one will go to layer 0. This horizontal one down here. So now what I'm doing is I'm creating the effect that there's another layer on top of this tower. Kind of creating a visual depth to it. Okay, so I'm going to keep that fence. If it rotates for me, there we go. Keep it right on top of the first one, and then I'll bring those over. Oh. Okay, so I'll take a second one to the right. This one also will come to the right. Creating that sense of depth again. Okay, this guy can probably go to layer 0, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to instead bring it down and make a little ramp, which is going to look pretty cool. And then on the upper one here, I'm also going to do the same thing here, create a little ramp and all that. So my positioning is important for these guys up at the top. I'm going to move the crypt candle. And basically I'm going to build right over top of this bridge going across here so that it looks like this is just incorporated. That can come over. This one also can come over. The one underneath has to be layer 0 again. I want to have a ramp there as well, but I don't think I'm going to get away with it at this depth, so I might just have to settle for the dirt path going up here, which is not so bad. I mean, it could be worse. Okay. I will also eventually hide the edge of that fence there, but that's good for now. Not the fence, sorry, the bridge here. We've got this edge on this bridge. I'll probably build something up to here, and then I'll add something to cover that bridge area. Okay, so now we've got like a little kind of a wall going on. Probably will add the similar or same thing on the other side. To some extent, it looks pretty good. I like the effect of the depth and the height on it. I'm gonna cut it off right there. Maybe one higher. I'm going to pull our stuff on the bridge back up here. So essentially what I'm looking at is having like kind of a stony fortress looking entrance thing here. And then from there I'm going to probably do some hedges and stuff in the back, throw some bone stuff in there. And I think I have a tombstone as well, come to think of it. Some rocks and tombstone, and what else can we chuck in there? There's a tombstone. Yeah, so we'll have a little grave up in the back here. And I mean, it's mostly just for looks, you know, the stuff that we're putting in, it's not going to be terribly functional. But that's okay. I mean, it's something where we're building something for the seasonal aspect anyway. So it will probably just get taken down in a month. It's not like I'm building something that's going to last here for a long time. Okay, like needs to come up one. To there. And then we'll bring this one across as well. Ugh, the controls. So, yeah, while we're building this, the idea is that I want to get an area for players to inhabit, basically. And like this here, you're not going to be able to inhabit this area here. It's something that's pretty small. Maybe I should bring this up one more. Speaking of which, to give it some reality. And creating a place where players can go in is one thing. Like traveling comfortably through a space is part of it, but it should also be something where there's that appearance that if they want to, you know, sit in that space or, you know, act as a character or a player in that space, that they should be able to do the things that they want to do. So having stuff like tables and chairs, or you know, in the interior you're looking at beds or things that you can interact with, objects that you'd want to be interested in grabbing or interacting with in general. That kind of stuff is important when you're building a house. There we go. Oh, he did duplicate after all. Great. Okay. But what I see so many times is that people will put 10,000 objects into a tiny little cramped space and be like, see my awesome house. And it's like, you can't actually interact with the stuff that they got in the level because it's all crammed in there so deep and so, you know, so cluttered and so, what's the word? I mean, if it's intentional, like you got like an attic space that you want to keep it a little bit messy and give it that appearance, like oh, there's a hoarder's nest or something. But if it's if it's built with the intention of players to come into the space and look at it, and it doesn't have something appealing or interesting about it, it's going to be difficult to engage with as a player. Okay, so I'm going to grab a couple more of these guys here. This level is going to get some too. We're going to keep them across. You know what? Maybe I'll go with strange bricks at the top there. I think I'm going to make my bridge across with strange bricks. And I'm also going to throw in a little bit of a twist here. So this level, when we look at it, is all pretty cool. There's, an interesting layout, but what I really want to do is have something that's interactive and competitive. So like you could see, for example, players running through. Maybe I'll put a flag in here. Maybe that's the way to go. But I'm going to add the second respawner. So basically to let players, if they're in here and they want to grab the flag, they can, and then compete over who has the flag. And essentially on this here we have two sides. So we're going to have one side on this side of the river, one side on the other side of the river. Oh, I don't see my flag. It didn't pop out there. Maybe it's just taking a second. Okay, yeah, there it is. Great. So because of that, we're going to want the flag on one side or the other. So I think having it placed right here is okay. And then we have people who are defending and then people who are going to be charging up the stairs or whatever to get it. Maybe it's going to require a change on the location for these respawners. I think that's probably the best way to go. I can easily manipulate the auto farm and change that as well. So I think that's what I will do. I'm going to pop the bone cauldron out for now, but I will add it later on when it's part of the build. Oh, there it goes. Okay. And I'm going to add the other layer for this. So I've got another section where I'm going to have the little ladder, my railroad ladders that come into play. I can rotate that down. Great. Okay, so we'll grab a railroad tile. Oh, I will grab a railroad tile. Railroad. There we go, railroad. Drop it in there, and then you always have this funny thing that happens where it shows up sideways. It's always horizontal when you first drop the railroad. So I'm going to have to go in and grab the railroad tile. I mean, technically you could leave it that way if you really wanted to. I think it's the top one here. No, it's this one here. There we go. And then I'll leave that, and it will change on its own. Okay, and then I've got these awesome barbed wire fences. So the barbed wire fence is going to be like the main defense. Defense, yeah. So I'm going to have these fences. They're going to come in, and they're going to actually probably impede both sides. So I have, I think, 14 or 16 of these. And I want to implement them in such a way where players entering the space have to really navigate to get around them. And maybe there is that little bit of sinister intent. I actually want the players to die and have a hard time getting through. So I will add another one here. If it lets me duplicate it. Okay, come on. There we go. I'm going to keep it down here. Going to rotate it once. The interesting thing, barbed wire fence is actually a new fence layout, so you can do the double rotation thing. There's one where it's a big one, and there's a small one. So you can do like the large or the small orientation on those. The collisions with the barbed wire fence are a little funny. Sometimes it gets you, sometimes it doesn't. It has like large spikes on the terminating points of those fences, so you kind of have to watch out for that. As a player walking around in the space, it's a little bit tricky. It's not just a simple fence collision, it seems. There's places where you can touch it where you don't mean to sometimes. Okay, so I'm going to add another one over here. And I think I can just butt it up one more to the edge there. Basically, I want players to have to kind of walk through to some extent when they're coming down and navigate and hopefully not leave the level. Yeah, looks cool. To have some conscious movement as opposed to just being, you know, walking straight through and being like, charge. Probably better to have some kind of an interesting layout down there. Permissions, everybody for the country flag looks good. Okay. Let's throw my flag on there. Deep. Oh, did it show up? There it is. And then over here is going to be like the fortress or the base. So I want to have like a bone fortress over here. And essentially doing the same thing with these the bone fences as I did with the crypt fences, except for I'm going to do it between the trees and up on the edge over here. So players will have to kind of like come across the fence and then go up here. I'm also going to incorporate switches and barriers. So considering switches and barriers as part of the layout means to say that there will be places where the players can turn things on and turn things off to move through the space. Causing there to be like the barriers will go up and down depending on if it's red or blue. That will enable the players to essentially interact with the level, which is, you know, I mean, it's the main objective here. I'm probably going to make it pretty straightforward. What I've noticed using the barriers and the switches is that when you incorporate them into a level, if it's not really simple, players get frustrated pretty quick, right? So they tend to look at it like, oh God, why do I have to do this? You know, how do I do it? You know, even though it might be simple, you might just have to shoot the switch. Players tend to just get frustrated by it and not want to do that. They kind of like, you know, leave the level preemptively and stuff, which is fine, you know. It's not such a big deal if they want to come or go, but it's something where when you put a lot of effort into building it, and you know, it might be very clever. That the way that you can use these furnitures is just immense. There's so many different ways that you can implement them, but when you have that certain level of depth, there's a certain level of where it becomes difficult. Like there's a challenge to it, and then there's also the simplicity. And if you have something that's really simple and straightforward to do, like to interact with, then typically players will get through it really quick. But if you make it not challenging, so if it's not challenging, they'll just ignore it completely. Okay, so I can get in and out of here. Still with that mirror there. I think I'm going to bring the guillotine down and put a mirror up here in the corner. And the weird stuff happens with this water with the mirror too. Come on there, you. Oh, no. I thought this was there was a PNG or something up there. Like there was an image where this was going to be black space, but it's not. Or maybe it's fixed, I don't know. Cool, okay. So this chair is going to be my spawn point, I think. Or no, maybe I'll make the spawn point the chair at the top, and I will do the grave. Yeah, I like that. The grave is going to be the spawn point at the bottom. So I'm going to take the grave right up against the wall. I'm going to throw some flowers in there. Fleur. Black flowers, because they're dead. And then I'm going to take the respawner. I'm going to add a respawner in there too. So I have to search for a respawner as well. If you can pull that off quick enough, it actually will preemptively load your object that you're searching for. But not every time does that work out. Okay, so I'm adding the respawner. These little black flowers. I'm going to add the black flowers over the grave. I think I can do 2 sections of them. Kind of split them in half so there's 3 rows of flowers. Like that. And we'll do maybe 2 rows, I guess. Looking good. Oh, there's my respawner. We'll keep this over here. This guy here, this little black flower, we're going to move up there. I'll do 1 more, just below that. Right about there. Okay, perfect. And now I'm going to take this respawner. I'll put the respawner right over those black flowers so that when the second players die, then they show up on that grave there. They come out of the grave. And then they can come around here. They can essentially climb this little tower, go past the barbed wire. And they're the attackers. Wow. So when they come up through here, then they can protect the flag, or they can go across the bridge. And the layout is going to be essentially the same, but it's going to go up to the top over here. So I'm probably going to use these chairs actually, instead of having it be the respawn point. Instead of having it be the respawn point, I'm going to keep these guys as the wall, kind of, underneath here. Hedge them up like this. And these ones are neat. Because they are chairs, they have to be layer 0. Otherwise, players will go into the chair and kind of disappear. But at the same time, they're cool ground cover. It looks like a big pile of bones, right? So I can basically use those to hide the front portion of the guild house. I guess it is the guild house, isn't it? The structure that's already pre-built into the level is not always, I mean, the majority of the time, honestly, it's not what I'd want to have. So setting up these kinds of like facade, you want to set up some kind of an object wall, basically, preventing players from seeing or interacting with the existing furniture stuff. So it's not really furniture, is it? I mean, it is. It is just layout. It's the tiles in the level that exist there previously. Okay, so this one I'll throw in there too. And you got to be conscious of where it's sitting. It should be relatively similar to the one across the way there. I think actually what's happened is this one's 1 down. So I got to move this guy up 1. Oh no, it's the same. There you go, perfect. Oh, there's a little candle in there. Come on out, candle, what are you doing in there? burning things. That's what candles do, right? Okay, and I got that tree there. I think the last thing I'll do for this episode is just throw these bricks, so this brick wall looks pretty cool. So I got my essential structure. I'm looking at, there's going to be like a ground area in the back here with the waterfall. And then I'm going to have this crypt kind of tower going on up the side. And then I'm going to have the bone structure on this side. And then my auto farm is just kind of going to sit in there secretly, like dee. Have an auto farm just for fun. Right, so this one here, we're going to duplicate these guys all the way across. Or not. Let's throw actual bricks in here. Again, same thing. That's going to take forever if I go through one by one. But if I search, I can just do the whole thing one time. I'm going to need how many bricks? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 bricks for the top. I'm going to assume the same for the bottom. I need 28 bricks. So these bricks, I've had a lot of people ask. I've mentioned it a few times as well, but these bricks you can basically only get from looting. If you're diving for loot, you can find them in the water. They're relatively rare. I don't think it's going to let me drop 28 of them at one time. That's probably going to give me an error message saying, yeah, please wait a moment for placing more furniture. We'll get to start with the ones that we have placed anyway. There's going to be a huge stack. Yeah, there you go. Stack of bricks. Oh, and my guy's touching them, so I loaded my profile. Yeah. So these bricks you can get by looting. There are several other brick type objects that you can pick up. One of them is the you can get the Lego bricks or the building bricks. I don't know what they're actually called. From the school. So that's one option. Another option is there are what are they called? Scaffolds. And the scaffolds are in Mart, in the basement in Mart. They also build. There's another object that you can pick up, which is the green slime block, I believe. And that's from fighting the blob, the giant blob. There's several other objects that also stack in a very similar way. If you want to go and you get the Totem Poles from Big City, the Totem Poles also will stack, but it's a little bit different. They're kind of round, so they don't really do the same thing. When you use them, you can actually create like totem poles. It's basically that you would have an object that you would stack, several other objects on to give the impression that it was built all at one time or whatever, like a normal totem pole, if you've ever seen it. Okay, so I'm going to stack these guys up on top of the first bricks if I can. And I would really like to have crenellation, so something where there was a hole between. I think I can get away with that by incorporating a pool into this. Oh, for some reason this is not selecting from my stack here. I've got this great big stack of bricks. It's not letting me move them. There we go. And this guy here, for some reason, went underneath the other one. You can see that effect there where it's actually, we're stacking them up. If you want to stack it up or behind, it's two different things. Right, so this one here looks like it's sitting, like the top layer is flush, whereas these guys, the front layer of those bricks is flush with the existing bricks. Oh wow, look at that one, just decided to do the same thing. Oh, guys. Yeah, okay. Now this one's going to behave too. How frustrating. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to pick up the rest of the bricks. I think that I will do it off camera because this is just ridiculous. The one at the top here, I do the same thing and it's just going to be all over the place. But basically my idea is that I want to have these bricks show up and create a little bridge that will go across, and the bridge will be the focal point. I'll keep the barriers on there, among other things. Okay, so thanks for watching. Sorry for the latency or whatever the heck's going on with the game here. I will try and resolve it for next time. Thanks, guys. Bye for now.